Hi, welcome to What's New in Nature. My name is LuAnn and I work at the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library's Mr. and Mrs. F.L. Schlagle Library branch out here at Wyandotte County Lake Park. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to take a walk around our library grounds and look at what wildflowers are blooming. All flowers, all plants tell a story. And so we're going to share some of those stories that our plants out here at the library have to tell us. Plants all have a story to tell, and wild bergamot here has a really fun story of history. So when the colonists threw the tea in Boston Harbor in 1773, they needed a tea substitute. So this is it. This is native to the Americas, and it's called wild bergamot. You might go, I thought that was bee balm. Well, bee balm is very similar. It's in the same family. They are both called Monarda. So if you see the word Monarda, M-O-N-A-R-D-A, that's what they are. They're also in the mint family. Two ways I can tell this is in the mint family. The main way is its stem. So let me get in close here. If it has a square stem, it's in the mint family. Let's get a little bit lower here. So you can see right here, most plants have round stems. A mint has square like this. Another way is the fragrance. You know how mints smell so good. Wild bergamot has a beautiful fragrance. People use wild bergamot oil as therapeutic oils too. But for you to smell it, all you really have to do is kind of rub back and forth like this on the leaf. A little bit of the oil gets on your hand. And then you smell the fragrance on your hand, and it's absolutely delicious. Plants bloom at different seasons, right? So with the Monarda, this one really just started blooming about a week ago. And I always remember that the Monarda blooms around the 4th of July because I think it looks like a firework. So we just had the 4th of July this past weekend, and check out the beautiful petals on here just bursting in the air. Monarda can grow pretty tall. I'm about 5'1", and here's the Monarda right behind me, so you can see it's even a little taller than me. If you don't want it this tall in your garden, if you plant it at home, during, I'd say around the middle of May or so, to cut it back halfway. In fact, if you look at the stems here, you notice that they're pretty tall. We call this, they're leggy, which means they don't have a lot of leaves on the lower stems, and it's not great to have leggy plants. You want to cut that lower so that it will sprout lower. So let me show you here. So this is actually about a couple feet right there. You could cut it this low, and there's still that much more plant. All right, another fire-like flower that blooms in midsummer is blazing star. Kind of reminds me of the trail of sparkles that are left behind a firework that's soaring into the sky. And I'm out right here in front of our library. I'm going to pan around for you here. So there's our library right here. And directly across from the library is this little patch of prairie that I'm in right now. Good diversity of plants. And there's a whole section of blazing star right in here, like bottle rockets shooting off into the sky. So we're back on the other side of the street now, and right up our sidewalk we have a Monarch Waystation. Pretty much it's a place that provides nectar and shelter and milkweeds for the monarch butterfly as they migrate. Milkweed is the only plant that the monarch butterfly's caterpillar will eat. It's not like the hungry caterpillar where he eats just about anything. This caterpillar will only eat the milkweed. So we have this way station to kind of give them a spot to devour our milkweed. We have a couple different varieties here. We have Sullivan's milkweed, which is this one right here. It's also called Prairie milkweed. And then we have the taller one back here with wider leaves. Like Sullivan's, you can see, are more of like a narrow leaf right here. And over here, the wider leaf milkweed that we have is called common milkweed. And this is the one a lot of people will see out in the fields, along railways, disturbed areas. And this milkweed has a story too. So another historical story with our milkweed is that during World War II, the citizens of the United States were called to help collect the floss from milkweed seeds to use to fill the life jackets of soldiers. And I'm going to show you what this looks like here. In fact, some of you might remember, maybe you were a kid back then, maybe you actually collected some of this. But here it is right here in my hand. So the little brown things in my hand are the seeds that will actually grow new milkweed plants. The floss that's blowing around is the silky, soft material that helps those seeds be distributed. So just like dandelion seeds that fly in the wind, that floss helps distribute our milkweed. So in World War II, they said this floss, they took the floss here and would fill it with the life jackets to support our soldiers. They even had contests all around the United States to see what schools could collect the most floss. And what's amazing is 2 pounds of this floss could help support a 150-pound soldier. Another plant that aided soldiers in distress was yarrow. It was said that during the Civil War, if a soldier were wounded and he could find yarrow on the battlefield, he could use this plant to slow the blood from a wound and as an anti-inflammatory. Back on this side of the sidewalk, we have indigo, and indigo is used as an antiseptic. So all up and down our walkway here, we have medicines from the past and maybe the future. Besides just a beautiful field of wildflowers here, we have a whole apothecary of medicines. So first we have the purple coneflower here, which is also in Latin called the Echinacea purpurea. If you go to the health food store, you've probably seen this on the shelf. This plant is bottled, and there have been pills out for years for people to take this. The best way people take this is to boost their immune system. So some people say it helps you fight off the cold or the flu. This is one way to boost your immune system, is to have a little echinacea. There were even stories that in the olden days, people would use the coneflower as a comb for their hair. Pretty good. All right, we're going to take a little tour around our garden apothecary here. So this is Boneset right here. Boneset helps reduce fever. If we want to get rid of the lice in our hair, I'm not saying I have any, I'm just saying if we want to get rid of lice, we're going to use larkspur, which is over here. I love this beautiful flower. It's kind of hard to see right there. Plants are healers. Medicines have been derived from plants since the beginning of time. There are many stories about how the First Nations peoples used plants as a medicine. Some flowers have stories of love, others of war, others of loss. And this plant in front of us, the very tall one you see right here, is called mullein. And a lot of you probably know this. It looks a lot like lamb's ear, but much, much bigger. Very fuzzy leaves, but sometimes the bristles on the leaves can be irritating to your skin. But its story is one that long ago was used in a time of sadness, and you can see the top stalk of the mullein there. When it dries out, it still has that very sturdy stalk that will actually last through the winter. And long ago, people would take that stalk and dip it in wax and light it to use it as a torch. And there were records that people would use those as torches during funeral processions. When you come out to our library just off West Drive at Wyandotte County Lake Park, you'll see our prairie that greets you. And we love the prairie here because this is such a symbol of Kansas. A lot of the native flowers and grasses that you would have seen when just the Native Americans lived here. And the buffalo even used to roam around here. The purple that you can see out in the fields is that wild bergamot. The yellow is gray-headed coneflower. Lots of others. There's butterfly weed out there if you saw any orange, and so many other species that have bloomed or a little bit earlier or have yet to bloom. The plant we have here in Kansas that you might not think we'd have is cacti. Hot, glady areas, rocky, dry, will help the prickly pear cactus grow around here. What's cool is if you are interested in Lewis and Clark and done readings about what they found during their travels between 1804 and 1806, this is one of the plant species that they recorded, the prickly pear, which can be edible. So behind our building we have a Lewis and Clark garden, and it's we're in the works right now of revamping it a bit, but there's lots of cool plants in here that Lewis and Clark saw during their journey. This summer in our Lewis and Clark garden we're going to be putting up plant markers that will identify a lot of those plants that they saw as they came through our area in 1804 to 1806. Hi, thanks for joining us for What's New in Nature out here at Schlagle Library this week. And we hope that you can make it out here. Even though we're not able to have people in the library yet, you can still call us and check out some great books. We have a lot of books that are available on wildflowers, their history, and their folklore at all the branches. And maybe you can make it out to Schlagle and even just walk around the grounds and enjoy some of these beautiful wildflowers that are blooming right now and the stories they have to tell you.